Well, I am here with I will call her the infamous Tuesday night. No,
Uh-huh.
infamous to some people, right?
Yeah, infamous, yes.
Welcome to my podcast where I'll be speaking with guests candidly about interesting topics. So join me on Candid with Kimbra.
But yeah, I wanted to talk to you about a couple things that, normally, for people that don't know, Tuesday's been acting many things, high profile things. But you started off as a singer, right? Didn't you start off
Yeah,
as a singer?
I
Yeah.
did. Yeah. My first love was music when I started. And I had done some gigs and you remember Madame Wong's West and you
Sure.
know those?
Yeah,
And the
it's that
Palace?
rock and roll, rock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Palace. Do you remember that one? The big one that was on, it was like on Franklin. I think
I
Franklin
don't think
and
I ever went to the Palace.
okay, well, it was like the big place, that like if you played there, you were like, ooh. So
You were a
we
rock star.
yeah, it's hard to believe. We were playing there and CBS came there and we had already signed a deal with a company called Vanity. So it was a smaller record company uh called Vanity Records, and we had done that, and then CBS bought us from there
Mm,
because they liked it. So actually they bought the whole label of Vanity. So it
wow.
was really lucky. I mean, I was like really grateful because, as grateful as you can be at like that age.
Right. Because you're thinking opportunities come like that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Today's different. But and also who was there watching was Dave Stewart in the Eurythmics.
Rhythmics? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're awesome. I
He was
love them.
yeah, they're awesome. He asked me he asked me to go like on a trip with him. I'm like, I don't think so. The guitar player was my boyfriend. I was like, no, I
Oh,
don't think I can. But we kind of talked, we took a picture together. And oddly enough, I wrote him on LinkedIn. I was like, oh my God, I wonder if he'd ever remember me. So, I
you
told
mean
him the story.
recently? Recently
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And I'm like, he'll never remember me. And he was like, oh yeah, I totally remember you Tuesday. Yeah. And so I'm trying to like work with him, trying to see
that's
like if I could do something with him. He just produced Daryl Hall's new album.
I
That
loved it.
oh, I loved
He's got a
him.
great voice.
Oh my God. And he's hot. He's
He's
like
handsome.
he's beautiful. Yeah. I have the actually a guitar from Hall and Oates that they signed. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
one of my good,
Have you
huh?
seen the video? Have you seen the video that I did on the beach that Jeff
Yes.
directed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you look at the guitar close, you can
Mm-hmm.
see it says John Oates and Daryl Hall on it.
Oh wow, that's one of
Yeah.
my good friends, Kelly. Jeff knows Kelly too. She loves Daryl Hall. We went to see him for her birthday once at a concert. She got like a bunch of girls together, and we got a limo, and we're like, going to Daryl
Ooh,
Hall,
fun. Yeah.
and
Oh, I love
yeah, he is still hot. I was watching Daryl's house for a little while.
yeah, me too. Yeah.
Daryl's house.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he's got a great voice because he's got that, what do they call that? That white soul, Philly soul thing.
Soulful. Oh yeah. Yeah. The only thing, I saw Hall and Oates in Vegas
Mhm,
probably like 8 years ago.
mhm.
And I was let down because it seemed like he had been through those songs so many times that he was almost like
Kind of,
bored singing them.
he was kind
Yeah.
of doing it, phoning it in, as they say.
Mhm. Yeah. And
Oh,
he does such great things with his voice, and his licks and everything are so
mhm.
like perfect. He wasn't doing like any of them. And if he did, he kind of threw them away and they were kind of not on key. And I was like, oh no.
Oh, I know that's happened to me before when I've seen idols of mine, and I was like, whoa, he was not even on pitch. I was like, but it's hard sometimes when you're doing spur of the moment. But that's a Vegas show, so you'd think it would be like very,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and I can't remember the theater, but it was a smaller theater,
Hmm.
but big.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was really like, oh my gosh. I wanted him to just sing it like the song is.
Sarah.
Yeah, exactly.
Tu-
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, or he was like just throwing it away like she's a man eater.
Oh,
Oh,
oh yeah, yeah.
and I'm
Or
like, oh no,
or like
no.
that song, She's a Rich Girl. I used to love that song,
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah.
I like a song. You should listen to a song by him on his solo album that he did, I think, in the 80s.
Mhm.
It's called Somebody Like You. Oh
Oh,
my God. It is
I
so
don't know that
good.
one.
Yeah, you'll like it. It's very it's a love song. It's really beautiful.
Oh yeah, he's one of the greats. You know, I wrote a song 2 years ago with somebody, and I played it for someone, and they go, "It sounds really Hall and Oatesy," and I was like, "Oh, that's a compliment."
Oh, it is. Yeah, that's great. Oh my God, yes. That's like when I got told um that I sounded like the song sounded like the Beatles. I was like,
Oh,
ah.
what? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, that's like,
yeah.
yeah, because Jeff told me that you're a really big Beatles fan, and
Oh,
who is
huge.
it? What is that guy that does the morning? Chris, somebody that does,
Oh yeah, the one who does the Beatle thing.
yeah,
Uh,
Chris. I can't remember his last name.
Breakfast with the Beatles.
Yeah,
What's his name?
Chris Cornett Carter. Chris Carter. Is that his
Yes,
name?
Chris Carter. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my friends, John Diamore, knows him, and I think he's actually been on his show before. But yeah, the Beatles
Yeah.
they're just they're the gold standard, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. To me anyway, I mean, you're either like it seems like you're either like the Rolling Stones fan or the
Oh,
Beatles. So for me, it's always like, okay, there's like no comparison.
yeah. Well, I gotta confess, I do like the Stones a lot. I'm gonna go see them in July, but it's
I do too. Yeah.
yeah, it's because I love some of those Keith Richards licks and some of the lyrics
Yeah.
that Mick Jagger writes. I really like a lot too. But
Well, and his performance, Mick Jagger's just like the
oh my
most
God, he's like,
unbelievable performer.
yeah, he's like what, 80 something, right?
Mhm.
And he's just like, whoa. You know?
I know. You know who else is like that is Paul McCartney.
Oh yeah, 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 that's true.
You know that he did my dad's song, right? Jeff probably told you.
I'm just gonna talk about your dad. Now, what's your dad's name? It's Baker Knight,
Good
right?
night. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was he from Kentucky or where was he from?
He was from Alabama,
Okay.
and he was the kind of guy though that like he was like over humble, like to the point like he was like he never realized his how amazing he was or how
Right.
even known he was. And he would get letters like, well, first he got one from Bob Dylan. And Bob
Really?
Dylan, yeah, because Bob Dylan sings his song Lonesome Town live.
I love that song, by the way, because I know you did it
Oh,
for Jeff's video, right? That one.
yeah.
Well, that's where I heard it. I was like, that's a really beautiful song because it's kind of pop country, kind of like one of those Glenn Campbell kind of songs that,
Yeah,
just
funny you
cross
should
over.
say that. Funny you should say Glenn Campbell because Glenn Campbell and my dad were really good friends, and he played on all my dad's demos.
Oh, I know.
He's a really good guitar player. Like he's excellent, and no one really knows that about Glenn Campbell. So that's really
Well,
neat.
well, I know because to be honest with you, I wasn't. I mean, I when growing up, I never heard about Glenn Campbell, but recently, gosh, I think it was Alec Baldwin or something put it on Instagram. I was like, oh yeah, Glenn Campbell. So it made me listen to a bunch of his songs. I was like, that he was a crossover artist. I mean, he started off country and his lyrics and his voice were so beautiful.
Oh yeah,
Which I
yeah.
thought.
I
But
thought so too, and I thought he was like a little underrated.
yes, I agree with you. And oh, it's funny that you said because so Tanya Tucker, which I never really was a big Tanya Tucker fan, but she was on some show recently talking about her past and a book I think maybe she wrote,
Uh-huh.
and they asked her about her and Glenn Campbell, and they did this whole thing because they were dating and
Oh
everything.
yeah, they worked together. Yeah, a long time. It's funny. I always got told I
They look
looked
like
like
Tanya Tucker.
her, except then it changed to Madonna, and
Yes,
then it was like that for the rest of my life.
I can see the Madonna thing because I saw you in a movie once. I think it was with Robert De Niro, and
Oh, Mistress,
yeah,
Mistress.
I just saw a clip of it, but
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, it's funny. She hired me to play her.
She
Um,
did.
yeah. They saw Mistress, her friends were there at the
Mhm.
premiere, and they came up to me and they said, introduced themselves, and then they said, God, Mo, they call her Mo.
Right.
It's gonna like flip out when she sees you for her thing. And I was like, oh, okay. And so uh like we met and everything. It was really cool. And I think, she's very used to people being afraid of her or
Sure.
nervous
Or
or
what's the word? Like
inhibited. What's the word I'm thinking of?
intimidated.
Intimidating.
Yeah.
Yes. The English language.
Right.
And she tried to do things that were shocking. And I'm like, oh. I was like, because I
You're
knew
not
if I was like,
impressing me. No.
exactly. Yeah. If I was like, oh my God,
Right, right, right.
and,
I
like
saw
walking.
I saw a funny story with her, gosh, the actress Deborah Messing and from Will and Grace, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I guess Madonna was on, did a recurring on there, and they were like, they said that they did the table read for like a week, and
Mhm.
and she took off her sunglasses and she's like, "Excuse me, what's your names again?" You know, to
Oh
to
God.
Will and Grace, you know, the actors that played Will and
Yeah,
Grace.
like they were like you don't know them. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Sounds
So
like it. That sounds
yeah,
about right. Yeah.
Mo. But
Yeah. Also, I
anyway,
wanted to tell you one thing. Paul
sure.
McCartney, Paul McCartney did Lonesome Town,
Yes, back to
and I
London.
and I, of course, I fell down and almost cried. I was so excited,
Wait a
and
minute,
then
wait. He recorded it or what? He did it live or I don't know.
sang it, yeah, on his record. It's called
Oh,
Run Devil Run. The album is Run Devil Run, and he did it's songs, his favorite songs from the 50s, and there's a little like a little paragraph about each song on it, and it said that Lonesome Town was my heartbreak hotel.
oh.
Uh, and he said something like it was I liked Ricky Nelson, but I liked the song better. So I told my dad was like a little bit jazzed about that. I said, Dad, I was like, I go, you've got to call the publicist right now. I've got to hear it. Got to hear it right now. And he did, and I got to hear it over the phone, and I was just like, oh my God. And then I
That's
saw
so
him
awesome.
live. Then I saw him live. He got me in. Paul got us in, and I was like right up front. And he was playing his songs, and he played a couple slow ones. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh shoot, he's not going to do my dad's song. And I was with my husband at the time, and all of a sudden it started, and I was like on the phone, Dad, I'm playing it like it was great. It was
Oh my
so
God, that must have given you chills, you
it
know?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That gave me chills. And when he won Song of the Year too, I mean, he did not think he was gonna do it. And I was like praying under my breath, okay, God, please, you have to let him win.
Oh.
Because he was yeah.
What years was he so he started off as a performer, your dad, and then singer
Yeah.
songwriter?
He wanted to be a singer songwriter, but
Mhm.
my dad had so many issues. Like he drank too much when he was younger, because he had anxiety and uh depression and all those things. And back then, there really wasn't what we have now. So he
Right.
like was supposed to be in these different movies, and like one with Doris Day and another one,
Oh.
and he couldn't do it because he just was too nervous and so that
That's
was kind of
sad. That's
yeah,
sad. And so then he just kept writing songs and then people
yeah.
started covering them,
Yeah,
right?
and everybody, yeah, like Rick Nelson came over to my dad's place, and he said, okay, yeah, play me a few songs. And Ricky, is my mom said, because she dated him, she said she
Your
said
mother, she gets
that's
around.
I know that's how she met my dad. But
That's
he was
great.
playing, it's funny. He was playing songs, and he just listened to them all, and then he was like, thank you, like whatever. And my dad's like, oh, okay, well, I don't know if that went good or whether. And
Oh.
then like his manager calls my dad, and he's like, yeah, he'd like to record like those 16 songs. I'm like, what? And my dad wrote a book, and in the book it says, that he had like 20 cents in his pocket,
Oh.
and they brought him a check and everything. So that was
I
like the
love
beginning.
stories like that, where you're like, I got my last dollar, and then
I know, and then all of a sudden you have money. And then, Elvis did The Wonder of You, which was also like a number one.
that was your dad's
And
song, "The Wonder of You."
yeah,
I didn't know that because my friend, this guy, when I played the American Legion, he runs the entertainment there. He does Elvis a lot, and he always sings that song.
he
Yeah,
does.
I didn't know that was your dad's
Oh,
song.
yeah. Yep. My dad wrote that one. And the thing is he wrote all these songs like by himself, which fascinates me
Wow.
because I always have to write with somebody.
Sure, sure, me too. I
Yeah.
mean, I have written one or two by myself, but usually I co-write. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I've done a couple, but I just don't feel like I'm getting the best out of it because I love hearing what other people
Right.
uh have to add or what they think.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
usually collaborations are the way to go. I mean, look at McCartney and Lennon and McCartney, right? But
Yeah.
it's
Oh
by
gosh.
themselves they wrote great songs too. But
Yeah. When
um,
they were like babies, like 22 years old, and they were like, writing songs. It was crazy.
I know it's just amazing what came out of we will never have like a songwriting duo like that again. I don't think.
No, no,
Lennon.
no, no.
Um, So there's a lot to cover here, but I wanted to ask you about because a little birdie told me that you did this series with George Clooney and that I never heard about. So I wanted to ask you about that because
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say so many of my friends love George Clooney, so I just wanted to ask you what was it like? He's a nice guy, right? Good sense of humor.
Right. Very. Oh my God. Sense of humor. I'd go a little further than that. I think
He's a prankster, right?
oh my God. Yes. I will tell you how he got me. He got me every day. He what happened was they did a pilot
Hmm.
for it, and it was called, I think, One Down, Four Up. It's a term for a motorcycle thing.
Oh, okay.
Uh, he was a cop
Hmm.
uh who was a guitar player too.
A cop
So
that was a guitar. Okay.
and he had a band and everything. So in the first one, this other girl was hired,
Hmm.
and she was like a really a pain and didn't do what they wanted, and they had to use another girl's voice for
Hmm.
her.
Hmm.
And so then they auditioned me, and they used, and I got the job, and they used all my music.
That's
So
awesome.
it was a dream because it was easy for me because the whole band, like George and the whole, I can't remember the other guys in it really now, so it was like 92. So it was pretty cool that I got to do all my music
Oh,
as
because you
with,
were in a band with him in the show, right? That was the
yeah,
premise.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
So it was pretty cool. And George, oh my God, George was, it was so funny. George was so gorgeous that, I mean, I think he's handsome now, but
But
I have a tendency to like guys with long hair. So not
yeah,
long, but
yeah, good
a little
length. Yeah,
shaggy. Yeah, a little shaggy.
I think you and I have the same taste in men.
Yeah, I don't like this like crew cut men.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, and he
Or
had great. He still has great hair, but back then it was like dark. You know.
yeah, yeah,
Really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, totally, totally cute.
And
But
that series never did it air? Was it? Well, I don't remember. The series did it air? The George Clooney
oh
one.
yeah, yeah, the first 6 episodes, that's all we had.
Mhm.
And yeah, and he used to get me all the time with practical jokes. And the two that I remember is the first one was he would, when we were doing songs and they were filming, he would somehow get a guitar pick, and he always used to come over to me and like do my head like this, like and make this like noise, like psst, or something, like some kind of noise, and like I was a little kid or something. And so he did that, and I thought, oh yeah, he's just doing his thing. And the director goes, Tuesday, could you take the guitar pick off your head? I'm like, you ass. And he's like cracking up, and and then once we went to lunch at the tables out there, with
Mhm.
the cast,
Mhm.
and I was sitting next to him, I'm just eating, my sandwich, whatever, and he sneezes into this napkin, and I like look over at it, and there's like all this like stuff in his napkin. What he did was he chewed up everything of his food, and he spit it in his napkin, and he wanted me to think it came out of his nose.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So I
I,
was like, ah! And then he's, they all started laughing like I was a dummy. I didn't even
I've heard
know.
or I've heard stories like that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
one of
And
my
he always calls me, like whenever I run into him or whatever, he always calls me Crazy Tuesday. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're the crazy one.
right.
So we call each other. Yeah, I was
Oh,
Crazy George, it's funny.
I went
Very,
to the movie
very sweet.
premiere that that he did a movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones, and my friend her parents used to golf with his parents, so we were talking to his parents, and he was so nice, and he
Oh,
was
really?
yeah, he's a really nice guy. This is before he got married and stuff. This is a while back when he did that movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Mhm.
Um, anyway, yeah, and that's so great that you got to do your music in the show, though. Because it must have been a lot easier for you, right?
Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah. And it was a dream. And like when I think back on the things I've done, I think, wow, I was pretty lucky, and and I'm really grateful for that. But it's how it is in this business. It's like up, down, up, down, up, down.
Sure.
You're either, in all the magazines and you're in 3 shows, or you're in none and you're still auditioning, and it's just up and down.
Well,
So
you did a show though, another show you did. One of my friends, Victor, is a big fan of the show, and I haven't seen it. I'll have to look it up one day. But he said it was Malibu Road, right? Is that
yeah.
Road with Drew Barrymore?
Mhm.
So my friend Victor, he's I was telling him I was going to interview you today, and he said, "Oh, I used to love that show, Malibu Road," and he said, and she was heavy in that show, and I know she's not heavy. I said, "Yeah, I think they made her wear a fat suit, but I didn't
They
like
did.
that."
Yeah.
Yeah,
They did, and it was really funny because Joel Schumacher, bless him, because he passed away, but
right,
he was the director, and he would not take anybody else to network but me. So when we got there, there was nothing. He just told CBS flat out that I want Tuesday night, and that's it. And they were like, well, you can't, she does look like Drew Barrymore. She could easily play her sister, but she looks better than this character.
right.
And she's, thinner and thin and not, and Joel was like, I don't care, we can make her look that way. And they did, they like, I wore a wig every day that was like a reddish brown color and glasses and a big, like a padded suit. And I loved it because I didn't have to look good. I
Right.
didn't have to worry about angles. I didn't have to worry about if I look fat from that angle or this one. It was so neat to like be a character actor.
Yeah, yeah. That's
That,
before when you were super young, so it's
yeah, I was 30, I don't know, gosh, 30 something
yeah,
early.
yeah.
And
You're in your early, barely 30s.
early,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was like, because sometimes I think about that too, like where, because I'm, always wanting to look good and I'm always wanting, my hair to be perfect and blah, blah, blah. And I always think, gosh, it'd be fun to be a character actor and you just don't have to worry, about your hair.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. I mean, because when I was, younger and I worked, in the 80s and the 90s and part of the beginning of 2000s, I was always like, the ingenue, the femme fatale,
Sure.
and that was because I was young and whatever. I mean, I was lucky.
And
And
sexy. No.
sorry.
Yeah, and sexy.
Ah, you're so cute. And it was weird. I was that. And then like I play in Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm like the girl next door, right? And I've heard from people like, yeah, you were the girl next door, but you were the sexy one. And I'm like, sexy? To me, that was like one role of being the nice girl. And
Right.
then on, never, never again.
You mean the Malibu Road, you were the nice girl, and then after that it was
No, in Nightmare on Elm Street.
oh, got it.
And then I was the villain in 2000 Malibu Road.
Mhm.
And Joel Schumacher it was adding me into every scene. I couldn't leave the trailer until he came over and said, okay, we're done with you, because he loved the character and he would always put me in like the side, like eating a bagel or something, and Lisa Hartman's mother in
Yeah.
it, played by Constance Towers.
Mhm.
She was so funny. She walked into one of the scenes and she's like, I don't want that girl to hear us. And I was like, oh, I love it.
I mean, wait, she was meant that for real, or she
The
was?
character.
Oh,
The character. She said it in the scene. She's like, Lisa Hartman's like, come on in. And she walks in and she goes, I don't want that girl to hear that we're
but
talking
that's
about.
so great that he fought for you. That he really fought for you.
Oh my God. I never, I couldn't believe that. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and he went on to be like, I mean, he was a big director, but he went on to direct Batman and everything
Oh
else, right?
yeah, and the other stuff like St. Elmo's Fire and Flatliners and Lost Boys. I mean, so many, like so many good ones. Oh, he was so great too. He always told me, he said, I'll tell you what, when I die, he goes, I want you to come in as Joy, that's the character, and I want you to hold up like a big music thing, or they call it ghetto blasters or something.
Oh yeah.
Hold it up there, and I want you to play Dire Straits. That money for nothing, chicks for free. And I'm like, oh my God. So when he passed away, I was like, oh my God, I didn't do it. It was funny.
Yeah, but it's kind of unexpected, right? Well,
Yeah.
you've worked with so many, like, okay, not just Joel Schumacher, of course, but Drew Barrymore, and then you did some movies with Robert De Niro. Like we had talked about that before. Did you just do one movie with him, or?
No, two. I did Mistress and I did The Fan with him, which was really odd because that it was so odd that after Mistress, I got another film with him, and it was just kind of weird. I was like,
Oh, maybe he
Yeah.
requested you.
Yeah, I mean, I had a feeling that he might have. He was really, generous with me. There was a movie that he did with Uma Thurman called Mad Dog and Glory.
Mm.
And I don't think you know this story, but basically when I got cast in Mistress, I was freaked out because the cast is insane.
Mm.
I mean, Danny Aiello, Martin Landau, Christopher Walken, Robert Wool, Gene Smart, Sheryl Lee Ralph. I mean, Danny Aiello. I mean,
You
everybody
must have
that
been pinching yourself like,
I was,
mm.
exactly. When we were sitting on the grass outside of this big house reading the script during a read through, I was like, I don't even know if I can do it. I'm like,
You're like a panic attack. Ah!
yeah, exactly. And it was funny because, as an actor, I think that when we get in that situation, we rise to it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You rise to the occasion. You have to. What are you going to do? Like flub it up? No way.
Well, it
So,
just means you care, but I was just talking about this with Lee earlier. It's you that anxiety that kind of drives you, it gives you that energy. Like as an artist, you're like, I can do this.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And before, auditions when they were live and stuff like that, I mean, I was always like nervous and
Mm.
always. And I tried to like channel that into like, okay, this is my 5 minutes. I'm coming in full and you know what I mean? And I'm full of emotion. Well, that's because I studied Meisner for like
Sure.
13 years.
Yeah.
And I still believe in that technique. But I used to kind of, and when I taught Meisner, and I think the audition is the most important thing to an actor.
Mm.
Unfortunately, it is.
Mhm,
You get one shot when
mhm,
it's a live audition.
mhm.
That's why I like the virtual ones because basically you can pick which one you
That's
get.
true. Yeah, I agree with you there.
But you get one shot, and you better be on.
Yeah, you told me you studied with, oh, what's that? D. Wallace Stone, wasn't that it?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
studied
yeah.
with her for a while,
I
yeah.
studied with her. Actually, I have to call her tomorrow at
Ah,
12 because she wrote a book called Born, and it's about manifesting things in your life and like losing the negativity. And
mm.
I'm like, well, Dee, you know what? I go, you're in every freaking thing I see. So I mean, if that's what you're doing, I go, you're gonna teach me how.
And you guys
Um,
could definitely play, something together because
oh
you
yeah,
you kind
yeah.
of look like you have that little heart face, like her.
And she's awesome. I mean, she's very spiritual, and her book is great. And yeah, I did a movie with her called The Perfect Mother. That's how I met her.
Ah,
Yeah.
did she play the perfect mother?
No, Tyne Daly
Oh,
did.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's you've worked with so many great people. It's unbelievable.
I know
Um,
my favorite, my not my favorite. I don't want to say that. My couple favorite directors are the one from Mistress, which is
mhm,
Barry Primus, who's also an amazing actor.
mhm,
Um, and Mistress was done by Tribeca
mhm,
because his best friend is Bob, so they
mhm.
got together. And what was I saying? I just lost my train of thought.
Favorite director, but I was gonna say Billy Bob Thornton. I know you were gonna mention.
Yes, Billy Bob Thornton. Oh,
Ah!
he's my other favorite
Oh,
because he was amazing. I mean, I went in for the audition and I was totally freaked out. I knew about Sling Blade and everything, but then I was like, okay. So I went in and I was reading with the director, Emily Schweber. I
mm,
was reading with her, and Billy goes, "Give me that. Give me those sides. I want to read with her." And so he read with me, and I mean, it was amazing. And then he said, "Well, I just want to be honest with you because I know everybody bullshits."
mhm.
He's like, "But you are right now are my first choice." And I was like, "Yeah." So, I left there on cloud nine, and I thought, well, Tuesday, if you don't get it, this business always says stuff,
Mhm, mhm.
and I got it, and it was between me and an actress named Tess Harper. Do you know who she is?
I've heard of her. Yeah, I've heard of her.
Older than me. She's probably like about 10 or 15 years older than me, but he was trying to decide if he wanted a younger sister
Mhm.
or an older one. So I'm glad he chose the younger one. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, he was
He did
awesome.
a movie, no, not Sling Blade. That was a movie he wrote. Monsters Ball.
Oh yeah, with Halle Berry, right?
Yeah, my friend, a good friend of mine, is named Will Rokas, and he wrote Monsters Ball, and
Wow.
yeah, so he always talks about Billy Bob, how that whole movie changed his life, Monsters Ball. But
Yeah.
he always talks very fondly about him. Yeah, I talk to him every once in a while, and he's a really. I was going to have him on the podcast, and I still might. We'll see.
Yeah, you should.
I did want to ask you because I know that you made jewelry for a while, and I wanted to ask you about that. Right? You took a
Well,
break. Were you acting at the time when you did the jewelry?
I was a little bit, I wasn't really very smart because when I started doing that, my career was at like a good high right then.
Mhm.
I was like doing, like high profile movies, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, I'm kind of interested in this. It's kind of like a little bit of a break,
Mhm.
uh, which was a completely dumb thing to do, but I learned from it. I did it. It was called ToeBrights. My dad made up the name, and I started
How
the
do you spell
company
that? T-O-T-O?
OE and then Brights,
Oh, right.
BR.
Okay. Got it.
And so I started this company, and I needed a partner.
Mhm.
So so Lisa Wilcox from Nightmare was very into it, and we worked together. I mean, for like 5 years, really good friends. She did mostly the paperwork and the business stuff, contracts and stuff, and I was the designer, and I
Or
made all.
the talent. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. I made all the jewelry with my own hands, and that's why I have arthritis right now, pretty bad. But
Right.
I did it, and basically, the woman who funded us at the beginning, Diane was her name. Diane decided that she wanted to get rid of me, and
What?
I think it was because I stood up for things, and I talked about the designs and how I wanted this and it should be whatever, because that was my job,
Mhm. Mhm.
and basically Lisa said okay to her. So Lisa completely screwed me, like
Mm.
horribly, and tried to steal my company.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Tuesday. I
Oh,
mean,
thank you.
I
Thank you.
really
So
am.
so
I've
I
been
had
through stuff like that. I know.
Oh, I know, it's awful. I mean, I had to like have witnesses. She lied, perjured herself in front of the judge by saying that I was the sample maker. Her designs, but I made the samples. I was like crying because I was so upset, mad. And so, I have to see her at like conventions and stuff. And she apologized, and she said, I didn't know I was doing it. And I kind of believe it, but no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought she was my real friend, and so I told her, I said, okay, yeah, sure, I'll forgive you, and I'll see you at shows, and I'll say hello, and I'll be nice. I said, but I wouldn't trust you with my house plant. And that trust will never come back. So she's always trying to get back into a friendship with me, and I can't do it. I mean, she calls me all the time. I can't call her back. I don't after what she did, it's like I just can't forgive it. It's
Oh,
just,
I know. I'm the same way. I don't feel that way about very many people, but if I lose your trust, you lose my trust, it's like
Mhm.
I can't be friends with you because how can you be friends with someone that you can't trust, you know?
You can't, because that I think that is what is called like an acquaintance, or somebody, like they say, your enemies, or keep your friends
Close, but your
keep your
enemy's
enemies
closer.
closer.
Right.
Yeah, because you know what? You don't see it coming. I didn't.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't see it coming at all. Yeah. And so then I went back into acting more, and it was hard for me. There were all these new casting directors, these millennials, and I was like, oh my God, I hardly know anybody. And there were still the big ones that I knew, but that had been there a long time. But I had to like, claw my way up again.
How
It was
long of a break did you take when you did the jewelry? Was it like 3 years?
7 years.
Oh, 7 years. Like I said, you had a baby almost, right?
Yeah. Like seven babies. No.
Yeah.
I did work in a couple movies in there,
Hmm.
but not what I should have done. I should have, I should have maybe did that on the side. But instead that became my whole life, and our clients were insane. I mean, Stella McCartney, I like made her this really great piece of jewelry with a horse and a blonde woman like her mom. And so I was designing things for her, and then also Angelina Jolie and Madonna and Britney Spears. And I mean, it was a huge Kim Basinger, who is like the nicest person ever and is so gorgeous. She doesn't even
I
have to
know.
like wear a stick of makeup.
I know. Well, you were doing like what everybody does now. Now everybody has their vanity thing, but it wasn't a vanity thing for you because you were a real artist. You were
Yeah,
making
I
the
was.
jewelry.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And it wasn't, I didn't really, it wasn't like, oh, about these stars. I mean, it was because it got out, but
Yeah, give you some cachet, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So, that's
nice because when my dad killed himself.
your dad.
Um,
Oh my
yeah.
God. So I didn't know
In,
that.
yeah, in 2005. And um when that happened, Tracy Nelson, Ricky Nelson's daughter, sent me this beautiful plant and this gorgeous letter. I had no expectations from that for that. I no idea. And Kim Basinger wrote me an amazing letter, and Stella McCartney, and it was just very hard to believe, that they did that. But it was so nice because I was pretty destroyed. So it was really nice.
It's amazing how like a little, not a little gesture, but sometimes if someone, because when my father passed, I remember someone sent me this flower arrangement and I wasn't expecting, and it just really touched me because it was like, you're just so vulnerable. And then for someone to remember you, it means a lot,
Yeah. Oh
Anyway,
yeah.
God, I hate to interrupt this now, but we're going to get kicked off. But I think we should finish it another day because maybe
Yeah, let's do it.
we'll do part two, and like, if you don't mind.
I'd love to. No, I
Okay.
love chatting with you. I sang on Quiet Riot's album, and then Steven Tyler came into my studio and asked me if that was me, and I said yes. And then he said, "Come here." So he took me into the studio, and he played like a washboard, and I sang this song sitting next to him called Black Cherry, and it was like screaming. It was like we were just screaming the word. It was so funny.